Everyone is a natural medium. No one is here without the ability to communicate. So the question is, why are some people so tuned in and so capable of communicating and some people aren't? First of all, when someone loses someone in their family, grandmother, unfortunately maybe a child, a spouse, a loved one, it seems that that experience opens them up to spirit. They have, maybe, everything for me is always confidential. So if I refer to someone, it's in a very vague way. One client that I have in the city is a radiologist, very hardcore scientific medical person, who probably would have never entertained the idea of talking to someone on the other side of spirit until his wife crossed over. And it took a little bit of time for him to realize that something was happening, and what was happening was out of the ordinary. There's 3 ways that you can communicate: consciously, unconsciously, and the 3rd way is in the dream state, but that kind of fits into the other 2. Has anyone ever thought that they were able to literally make direct contact with someone on the other side? You, ma'am? No, you raised your hand? Okay. And can you do that? Like, can you do that at will, or do you know? Do you smell them? You feel them? You hear them? How do you know?
I talk to, I'll ask I don't know what they're called, but they're around me. And I'll ask them if I can speak to that person, and they let me speak to a person.
When this happens, do you make contact? Are you awake?
Usually it's in a dream. I'm a dreamer.
Right. So most people don't understand, or maybe they know they're communicating, but they don't trust it. So that's what I wanted to focus on this evening, because I find that the basis of spirit communication, if you're sitting in this room right now, whether you're channeling consciously or not, you have an interest, whether someone has crossed over, whether you think you've done it and you're not sure. And there's certain rules. It's really spirit channeling, communicating. It's really not a game. It's not something that you take lighthearted. The first rule is that you never attempt to communicate with spirit when you're angry, because the laws of the universe, like attracts like. And so if you're in a violent, angry state, the only thing you're doing is opening yourself up to negativity. You don't want to try to communicate with spirit when you drink alcohol. And you'll find that I know people that have, I had this experience when I was drunk. It doesn't mean that spirit stops communicating because you're drinking or taking a prescription or whatever. But it means that you're in a state where you've left yourself wide open. So a lot of people pray. There's no specific prayer that you would use, but like attracts like. So you automatically want to be in a very positive state. You want to be very quiet, and you want to. Did you ever get a feeling, just a feeling? Maybe you can't explain it, but you feel happy or you feel love. For absolutely no reason, you just feel like you're very, very happy. That's where you want to be. And that's why sometimes people will say, well, is it too soon to communicate with someone that crossed over? A lot of times I'll get phone calls and people say, well, he just crossed over, a week ago. Is it too soon to make contact? And the other thing that people often ask me is they're afraid that if they don't communicate within a certain period of time, it's not necessarily in reference to how soon. You have to be ready to communicate. If you're grieving and you're in a state where you're just so blocked, I used to work with a lot of psychiatrists when it came about in a very roundabout way. And so the hardest time, say for a parent, I worked with a lot of mothers and fathers, and a lot of in my book was about parents, children who have crossed over. A lot of sections in another book is called Talking to the Children. When you're in a state and someone has just crossed over, That's a very hard place to try to communicate. You may want to do it more than ever before, but energetically you're probably out of balance. And so when you're preparing or learning how to channel, you have to be in a very healed, safe place. The other thing is that you need to know how to ground yourself. So when I was talking to Mary and Sari, there are a lot of classes, I've taught a lot of classes, and I'm going to say that most of them are 6 weeks, 2 hours each. You know, I've worked with people, I don't want to say one-on-one, but I've worked with a lot of people to help them develop the ability to communicate. What we can do in 90 minutes is answer all the questions that you may have, any individual question that pertains to what do I really have to do. You know, you may be stuck in one area, you may be stuck in another area, you may be afraid. That's a very common thing. People used to say to me, my mother was raised Catholic, my mother was Jewish, my father was Catholic. No one explained to me growing up in my religion that this is the part where we teach you how to channel, how to communicate with spirit. This is what you do.